Hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight for AFTERBUZZ TV's after show of Unlocking the Truth, Season 1, Episode 5. You don't know murders, bro. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Something for my godson Elijah and a little girl named Corinne.
Oh, some talk in the game. Just us two tonight, guys.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And this song is representing our feelings towards
For Pac. We love you,
everyone,
man.
right?
Always and forever.
Anniversary yesterday.
Anniversary.
Little homage there. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. I'm Abigail Fraher, and I'm going to be leading our host discussion tonight.
Just the two of us?
Just the two of us, so bear with us and our opinions. You can find me on all social media at Abigail Fraher, and this is my beautiful co-host over here.
Hi, guys. I'm Maddie Makely, and sadly, our two other co-hosts could not make it this evening, so you guys are stuck with these beautiful ladies. But you can find me on all my socials at Maddie_Makely.
All right, so
Let's dive in.
let's just dive right into this.
You guys must be so excited.
Right?
You get so much Abby and Maddie tonight that it's going to be overloaded. with you
Overload
guys.
of Abby and Maddie.
Overloaded Abby and Maddie.
Maddie, how are you feeling going into this discussion? We literally just wrapped up, 5 minutes ago watching it? How are you feeling?
First of all, why are we not focusing on this last case of Byron? Even
was
though they
disappointed.
just introduced it last episode, and now we
We're
don't
not
even get to
talking
see it
about
at all.
Again,
What the heck?
poor, I think very poor. I'm just going to go from a production standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not happy with the layout with the season. So hopefully, next season, because I hope there is a next season,
Mm-hmm.
again, they're going to do a little bit more of a constructive layout. Hopefully they'll get some feedback from more people than just us about that. But
Yeah.
let's talk about what we did see tonight. Calvin Michael Smith.
Yes.
This guy, I'm ready for this to wrap up. I honestly thought this
Yes.
case was going to be wrapped up.
I remember you saying that.
This episode, and it didn't. So I think they're just going to be holding us out for all of them for the final episode. But let's talk about his coerced statement.
Yes.
He gave a statement to the police after they had told him in questioning that if he gave the statement or handwrote the statement that they told him that him and his girlfriend, who was held in another room, could go home. First of all, what
Clearly
is
that wasn't the case, obviously, because
Right.
he's in jail right now. I don't know. I don't really... that's super confusing how that all laid out quite like that.
Right, and it's the statement was that he went into the silk floral shop to the back of the store and then left. So they didn't ask him to say necessarily that he committed it, but they asked him to put himself in that place, and they gave him supposedly information that wasn't public knowledge. Ran to the back of the store in the statement, and what do you think about that?
I have no idea, because I want to believe so badly that Calvin is
too.
innocent, but this episode is kind of swaying me a different way. I don't know why. I mean, all throughout this episode, or this case rather, they keep saying how the detectives are really, brainwashing this kid kind of thing, and I feel like we keep mentioning the race card, so I feel like it is kind of a racial thing. They didn't let him and his girlfriend really go. They kind of kept pushing him, and we're seeing that in a lot of these cases too.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's a lot of coercion.
They went to go talk to Scott Williams, who was assigned this case, and Scott.
Right.
He kind of...
He rubbed me the wrong way.
He did rub me the wrong way.
I was not a fan.
He thinks that Calvin should be in jail. Totally deserves it. But it seems like that's a lot of the, white male detectives' ideas on him as well.
But now I don't know, when Scott was talking, I don't know if he was necessarily he was going based on the evidence that was presented to the jury.
Yes.
Which, again, the evidence that was presented to the jury never added up. And those are things that both Eva and Ryan spoke about after talking to Scott. So I don't understand why in the show they didn't say, Scott, well, what about this? Nothing added up here. These statements are lacking. The people who made the statements aren't really credible.
Yeah.
So what do you think about bringing those things up, and they didn't do that, so I don't really understand why they necessarily didn't do it.
I mean, I understand that Eva and Ryan are trying to keep it on more of a professional level. They're trying to reach all these people without seeming intimidating or making them feel like this might backfire on them maybe.
Right.
So they want to make everyone feel as comfortable as they can, but I agree. I think they should, if they really feel as deeply as they claim they do about all these cases, then I think they should be diving in this a little more deeper and trying to really grade this information out of these people.
And when he said, like, from a prosecutor's standpoint, they have a solid case, especially with that statement of, like, knowing information, my heart just, like, dropped because I'm like, I don't think he did it, but now I don't necessarily think that he's going to get out, which is my concern now. Like,
that's a great point.
What's it? But, like, let's move on
No,
to,
seriously,
okay,
I know.
the huge major point of this case on this episode was Jill Marker. Like, we got to see video of her. We got to we'll get into her talking to her son later, but let's start with the video.
How disturbing was that? It was disturbing to watch, just like her basically
Honestly,
disabled in this mindset. It's shocking to watch that and kind of see her in her mental state. But this video revealed so much.
So I honestly, like, the audacity of them.
I know
The fact that
The
they
anger
even
we have right now.
used this, and, like, obviously your first response, like, watching the video is this poor woman, like, literally had her life torn away from her. But after that, and maybe I might seem a little unsympathetic. I'm not trying to be unsympathetic, but after the initial, I feel very sorry and this for this woman and her family. We have to move on from that. We can't sit and think about, like, this poor woman. We need to move on to what's actually happening. I cannot believe that this stuff that her identification was even used. She was in a coma for 10 months.
Yeah.
She had brain damage. She's partially blind.
Yeah.
She
could barely. Well, I mean, Eva and Ryan even said, "Can they really make out these head gestures? Like, what it like?" I think he asked her like 3 questions, and all I saw was this. I was like, "Is that a yes or no? What is that?"
And it's I think a lot of that is like not seizure, but like how her body is reacting to everything that she
100%.
went through. And
I mean,
she shook her head no. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
let's
we need to talk about
questions.
that. So he asked her
3 major, basic and major questions.
Yeah, and it was, her reactions were very clear. He asked her, did this person that hurt you, or were you working? Wait, did this person hurt you when you were at work? And she blatantly shook her head no. The detectives clearly did not like that answer at all.
And you could see them start to like stress out.
So they get stressed out, and then they ask her again, are you sure that this man did not hurt you at work? And she blatantly says no. And this just goes on, and you can see the detectives getting stressed because they're trying to now have her confess to something that isn't necessarily true. And it's almost painful to watch this footage, like from our point of view, and think that this is remotely acceptable or can be used. As accurate evidence.
I mean, saying, were you hit? And she says no. Yeah. That right there. Okay, everything for me on her not on her perspective, but on her video and on her representation of what she remembers. I don't trust it, because were you hit? No. Were you at home? No. Okay, that's accurate. Were you at work? No. And then it's just like, what? How did that happen? And then also too, like, can we talk about that other woman in the video who comes in? Like, the guy's asking her questions, this other woman's asking her questions.
I was like, you need to sit
I was
down.
confused. Like there was too much going on for me, and I'm most of the time people would say I'm fully functioning.
Yeah.
But how could someone who isn't fully functioning understand all the chaos going on when I barely could understand the chaos going on?
Yeah, because he would ask her a question, she would not know, and the woman behind the camera, whoever it was, would say, "Are you sure?" or something like that.
And, they said, "Are you saying yes to those to those previous
no.
questions?" And she's like, yes.
And like
she's like, so those things didn't happen. She's like, yes.
Yeah, and it was the whole thing was just super confusing. Yeah. It didn't make sense. She didn't make sense. I feel so sorry for her. I just don't know if I can trust her body lingual or whatever it is. Right. I just can't really. I mean, how is that used as evidence, really? And then he presents the pictures in front of her.
Oh my gosh, right?
Of, Calvin.
Three different identification sets.
And the pictures had Calvin with other black men in it, and he said, "Do you see the person that attacked you?" And she said, "No." A clear no. And he kept asking her. I think they asked her like 10 times before she was like, "No, like I don't see it."
Like the way he held the paper, it was like, first it was like, if I'm her, it was like this.
Yeah.
Then it's like this.
Yeah.
And then he's like pushing like almost like a photo in her face. And it was just really aggressive and really
It's aggressive. And then they're like, "Oh," and then they start mentioning, "Can you point?" Oh, and then they brought out the other picture of all the white men and Kenneth, or I don't like him anyway. I don't care what his name is.
Yeah.
And they say, "Can you identify anyone in this picture?" And she's like, "Yes." And they want her to point to him, and she keeps pointing to 3 or something. First she's pointing like this side of the paper, then this side. She's disabled. Like, what part do you guys not understand about that? And then,
nothing was repetitive.
And then the woman was even like, "Are you saying 3 of the people? Or are you saying you're pointing to the third person?" She cannot speak. How do you expect this woman to respond to you?
And if specialists don't even know what she's saying, how is a jury supposed to know what she's saying? How are we supposed to understand what she's saying? And then I'm sorry, I have to just stay on this for a second longer.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
Like, was he a janitor? Are you really wasting a question? Like, was he a janitor? And then was he black or was he white? Like, you're going to ask if he was black after you literally just showed all black males?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
What's the point of that?
And why wouldn't you do a 50-50? I don't understand why you're only showing her black males. Why you're only because obviously, I mean, I know that they thought that Calvin was the one at the time, in custody for doing it, but it was all messed up, all kinds of messed up. I think
very messed up. I mean, and then they're asking her questions that she wouldn't even know. Is the man that attacked you a janitor? And she's just like, I don't know. Why?
Like, how is that even?
What? Like, that's irrelevant.
Right.
It really comes down to police wanting to put this kid in jail. And they keep repetitively asking this poor woman the same questions over and over with the same answers. But it even goes to show how careful that these people have to be when answering. Right. Because they make one split mistake or misconception, and the police completely flip this thing around, and
they're guiding it. It's just it's not even something that they're investigating. It's they decided and they're guiding it. And in court, when they went into court, because she identified him in court, before they went into court, there were 2 doctors that analyzed her condition. A specialist said there's no way that she could accurately choose someone because of her coma, or when she went into a coma, and the brain damage that was done. And then her second doctor, which was, I believe, just a normal physician, like a general physician, is the one saying that she can. I'm sorry. I think a specialist is going to know more about this than a general physician. Like, why is a general physician even one being brought into court?
I don't know.
And how is that a valid person?
Honestly, for me, just watching the video was enough for me, because she's obviously so messed up in the brain and with her body and everything. This woman is physically incapable of answering anything accurately. Right. We all see that. It's just this makes me sad.
It's sad.
This whole thing just makes me really sad. And you know what? They don't know that they're actually hurting her, because this is not justice.
It's not. And also with her son, like when they met up with the son. I actually...
Okay, wait, what was his name?
His name's Barron.
His name's Barron. Okay, yes. And he's a little... I mean, he's suffering from this too a little bit. We could see he has some sort of, disability. Obviously, maybe not obvious,
or speech impediment.
Speech impediment. Sure. He seems fine. He seems like a great dude. So totally cool. So sweet. Doesn't really, knows that this whole thing is affecting him in a way, but he wasn't born yet.
Exactly. And that was like, for once, I think I like that. It's still obviously so, it's the case. It's in the case. But I think that this was such a nice aspect to put in, because it made you, but it also kind of made me a little upset, because it's like it helped him move on. And I really like that. But it's also like he said he doesn't really think about the possible suspects. Yeah. And to me, that's really sad, because you have one possible suspect who's like literally, he made it so clear how his mom lost her life and how his dad lost like his love and almost lost his son. but this man in jail may have lost his life, you know, because things aren't being done constructively. So that was a little bit of a weird kind of viewpoint, I think, that MTV gave, and it made me a little uncomfortable, to be honest. But I was really happy with like, I don't know, how it brought him closure or whatever. I don't know. What did you like?
I agree. I just,
do you think it was right? Like his feelings? Or
the thing is, like, with him, I mean, if you're born or not born yet, I feel like if that was me, I would be like, I want justice for my mom, because I had to grow up watching my mom deal with this and my dad deal with this and my stepmom deal with this. So it's I mean, he even quoted how much it's affecting him. But for something that's affecting your life so much, wouldn't you want that kind of justice? And if there was even the slightest bit of question that the wrong guy that did this to your own mother is in jail, then wouldn't you kind of want to, you know, investigate a little more for yourself? I mean, this is your life. This is your family. He don't get me wrong. Like, I'm sure he wants to just put it behind him, just like his dad possibly does. And he doesn't want to, you know, add aggravation to his family any more than they already are either. But it's, I mean, I can't say I know what it's like to be in that position. I've never had to do anything like this.
I mean, how would I handle it? I have no clue. But that was a nice closing to the Calvin case in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
It was
I agree for sure.
Humbling. Now to our. I feel like this case is your favorite, Michael.
I do.
I feel like you really not enjoy. That's the wrong word, but you really revel in this.
Because honestly, 100%, I think Michael Polite is 100% innocent.
Do you still, even after today?
Good question.
Caught you.
Sorry, I just had flashbacks of the episode.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. No, we'll save it. We'll save it for predictions.
No, I will. But okay.
98%.
I am 98% sure that he's innocent. Just because, I mean, I even wrote this down. He has such emotion and love for this woman that you can't act the way he is on camera, crying over the fact that he is in jail for the rest of his life and had to watch his mother burn to the ground.
Right.
I physically can't even imagine that on my worst enemy.
No.
Let alone,
heck no.
Let alone my mom. So that's why I just feel so, and we haven't really gotten a chance to really see that, I guess, in the other
This is the first time I've seen him like super emotional.
Yeah.
I think. If I'm recalling correctly, I think this is the first time that he's been like over the top.
Yeah.
So Josh, we found Josh.
Oh, we found Josh.
Oh, he was hiding, but we found him.
We
were part of it. We were part of it. Mentally, we're there with them.
We low key did it all of ourselves, you guys. We just passed this information on to Ryan and Eva.
Right.
I'm kidding.
So
we found Josh.
Yes.
He talked to Ryan for 20 minutes.
And then Quinn went with Ryan, which I like that. I like when they split up sometimes. I think that sometimes you need to do some work alone because more work can be done.
Definitely.
I'm like so gung-ho about figuring this stuff out. I'm like, yeah, you go do that. And then you do some other stuff because
Everyone
you both don't need to be together the whole time.
So we all figured this stuff out. But yeah.
Okay, I think he was smart to talk off camera. Because I think a lot of the times we've seen like, oh, I don't want to be on camera, but you can still record. And he was like, nothing, zero. You can talk to me through a door. So I think on his part,
it's okay. It was smart. I think it's smart on his part, but at the same time, this is your friend.
I feel like he's hiding something then too. If you're not,
I don't know if he's necessarily. Okay, that's a good point. Actually, that's a very good point.
Why else wouldn't you want to be on?
Why I didn't think about that. He probably, to me, I thought he has flashbacks of talking to police.
And he wants to be left alone.
And I think that literally affected him so much that he doesn't want to ever put himself in that situation again to where any sort of police or investigator or anything can corner him like that again and make him say something he doesn't mean. So I don't blame him for wanting to just stay out of it.
You're so right there. He probably does have some sort of like PTSD or something from it, or just some sort of phobia now of
Well, we even saw in the last episode, they talked to his best friend, and his best friend even say, I would see Josh, going through depression because of what he went through in that room with those detectives. And I feel like that's something that needs to be highlighted so much more in this case because it's so important.
In all these cases, how these detectives are literally running rampant over people who aren't familiar with the system, are way too young to be able to be making decisions on their own. I mean... Okay, so Josh, nothing, I mean, not much. A lot happened, but it was very short. He said he would testify.
Yeah, he restates his statement which
Right.
matched his third statement to the detectives. He says that he's not changing it. He says, this is the truth. This is all I know. This is all I can remember. So, I mean, I believe him. I don't think he did anything.
No.
But I feel like you said, I think he knows something, or he's trying to protect himself, one or the other.
Well,
So,
that knows
I don't
something
know.
I think is going to lead to later.
Yeah.
The sheriff.
Yes.
Sheriff Ronnie. I want to slap
Stiles.
him.
I want to slap him. I agree with you 100%. He rubs me the wrong way too.
I'm not pro-violence, but I do want to slap him.
I'm not pro-violence.
A nice little across the face
Yeah.
to this man who is just horrid.
He claims that something just must be wrong with the kid. And I don't like that he is basing everything off of Michael's and Josh's reactions, basically.
And like, he didn't like. They're saying like he didn't like the kids. And then at the end you're saying that this is the first time you ever have come into contact with them. Like, how do you know them?
Exactly.
One, you don't. So you don't know them. You don't like their response. How many kids have you seen that their mother was burned to death in the house with them in it, and their reactions? Because I'm pretty sure like you don't really have a test sample for this.
You don't. Personally, I think that he's taking this case so personally because his mother died at 13 years old, pretty close to Michael's age, and he had to watch his mother die over natural causes, and how he was so emotional and bawling and just so upset over the whole thing, like any other kid would be. But, you know, just because that's you does not mean that's how all kids are going to handle it. Everyone handles things so differently, and he didn't like the way that he was calling his friend dude. And that's such... I don't know why he feels like it's right to even be labeling these kids like that.
Well, and they say dude, and like if we go back to Calvin's dad and Calvin on the phone, they're like man.
Yeah.
Like, people say very generic things, especially at that age. Bro, dude, man.
Yeah,
like
it's just such a small. I'm just amazed.
to put someone in jail over saying dude,
Yeah.
like no.
Yeah, and I think he took it so personally because he witnessed them, you know, kind of not reacting the way that he would react to it. It made him upset. It made him feel like they should be reacting the way that he would.
Right.
But they didn't, and I think that really bothered him. So he just felt like blaming this all on them for some reason. I don't know, but I didn't like it. And you know what? I think this guy needs to go to jail himself because this is just bothering me, honestly.
And then he says, you know, obviously the way he said like something's wrong with Michael for killing his mom. It wasn't even like there's no doubt in his mind, which okay, sure, that's fine. That's your opinion. But this all seems to be opinion. And then he comes out to say that he doesn't want to go into the dad. And then she's like, Eva's like, really?
Why?
And he's like, because I think he had something to do with it. Okay, well, you think that maybe you should have brought that one up a few years ago?
Right?
Like, are you kidding me?
Is this a joke? I can't help but like watch this and I'm like, is MTV doing this a whole producer side or is this real? Because if this is real, there's no reason why this should even be legal or up for discussion right now. Because if you think this kid should go in jail for saying dude, not really, you know, I don't know. It's
And then he
this
goes,
guy pisses me off, dude.
People. This is a sheriff. Okay, this man was a sheriff, and he says people get put in for things they didn't do all the time. There's innocent people in jail. He wasn't, and they were trying to like correct him. They were trying to save his ass.
Yeah.
He was like, no. There's innocent people in there right now, and there's people in there that are.
Oh, he meant that literally?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was saying
no. And then he goes, people are in there right now for a crime that they didn't commit, but they've committed other crimes, so it all adds up. I was like, this is America. Like, that's supposed to mean something. To some people, it means something, and that means that, like, you're tried for what you did. Like, I was absolutely blown away by his reaction. Like, he just was stone cold, yeah. There's innocent people in prison, but you know what? They deserve it because they did other stuff. Well, some people didn't.
That's
and then
so weird.
Ryan's reaction too. Like, didn't you notice? Like, I thought he just like got so quiet, and he was just
pissed.
like, it was just like, and almost like, I mean, I'm sure he was upset, but I was absolutely blown away by that.
I thought that's so weird that you took it that way. I kind of took it more, I thought he was being almost sarcastic.
No, I don't think so.
I think you're right. But I thought he was being sarcastic and saying, these people are innocent. Of course they're innocent. But
Right.
I thought he was referring to them saying, because when 85% of the time, or some crazy number, most of the time when people go to jail, they say, no, I'm innocent.
Right.
No one just claims, oh, I'm guilty. So I thought he was like almost mocking the prisoners in jail for saying, oh, I'm innocent, when
But then he
when
goes
they're really
into,
so
like,
I thought he was saying that, you know, these people are guilty, but they're all basically innocent. So that's funny that you mentioned that. I think that's true. Or either way, whichever side it is, this guy sucks.
Messed up.
This
He
guy sucks. So sorry, Ronnie, you are not on my happy list. I will not bring you home to mom. So sorry about that. But
And then to continue my dismay, we go from Ronnie to the confession, the confession when he was in like the mental like ward or whatever at the prison, and the whole misconception or different opinions of whether he said they or I. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
That's huge. First of all, they or I is huge. Second of all, nurses are going to say like the linguist said, you know, nurses or anyone that already has in their head.
Oh, this is Dr. Robert, by the way, the linguist. Yes, so they talked to him.
He made this comment that when people already decide something, you're going to hear, it's almost like one of those, you know, you hear what you want to hear kind of a situation. And it's like, if either way, even if he did say I, it could have been a lot of forms of I, like I as in they think that I killed him, or I as in like maybe like I might as well just say I did because that's what everyone else is saying. Like there's so many different forms, and the fact that that's their confession is so manipulated to me, because he didn't even know any other information about how she was killed or anything. And then
So this also happened right after he tried to commit suicide by hanging himself.
Right.
Because he was in such a dark place, and he even said, I don't want to live anymore. So he tries killing himself, and then they kind of corner him and say, you know, why did you want to kill yourself? And he said, well, I haven't cared since the day that they killed my mom. Or so he claims that. They say the day that I killed my mom.
Right.
Well, the linguist even said, you know, he could have been like, well, I haven't cared since the day when he killed my mom, and mumbled something.
Right.
And you don't know. I mean, they already had, they even said this in the episode, they already had their mind up that he did it from the very start. They weren't trying to switch their minds. The second that they thought that they remotely had anything worth of a confession, they snap on it right away.
And they shut it off, like basically
it off.
the investigation.
That's it.
And it seems like everyone's basis for saying that he's guilty is off of the CS or the CVSA like stress test, which we find out has a 50% accuracy rating. Like that's a joke.
Equal
50%,
to flipping a coin.
like 50% accuracy.
That's nothing. And so basically what they do, and now that we've learned in the criminal justice system, is the first thing they do is put them through that stress test, and whoever doesn't pass it, they investigate a little bit more, and whoever does pass it, you know, goes off. What person in the right of mind, after seeing their mother get burned to the ground, would not have stress on them? And so of course this kid's gonna have stress on him.
Right.
It stressed me. If they put me in there right now, I would have stress on me.
But were they saying that he didn't have enough stress?
No, they said that he failed.
He failed the stress
he
test.
failed the
But I don't know what they were like.
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I don't know how it works. Clearly, it's not accurate at all.
Right.
Dr. Robert even says it's very problematic.
But that's what everyone's using that as their basis of why he did it. And it's just like now that they said it's ironclad and there's no like getting out of that. So it's like they decided that he's guilty. So it doesn't matter. He's either showing not enough emotion, too much emotion.
Exactly.
Like he cannot win. So it's just like there's literally nothing he can do.
Exactly. And I think they even highlighted that in this, how no matter what he does, he cannot claim his innocence. All they want to get out of him is guilt anyway. So he's either acting too over the top, too dramatic, not showing enough emotion. So no matter what he does, they already have their minds that he's guilty, and they're going to stick with that. That kind of goes to back to one of the first episodes where we even said how in today's society we think that you're innocent until proven guilty, when in reality you're guilty until proven innocent.
And that's like what they like. That was such a good bravo. That was a really nice point. And also like they were saying like it's a story, and I never really thought about like trials as that. Like it's literally a story, and it's getting people to believe your side of the story and what side of the story makes more sense. And does Michael's side of the story make more sense, or does what the police have concocted make more sense? And to me, the police's side isn't really making a whole lot of. There's not a lot there for me, but there's also not a lot there for Michael. So it is a very. I'm like so like stressed out on this episode.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I wrote this question down. Do you think that this statement that Michael made of I haven't cared since the day they killed my mother, do you think if he had never said anything at all, do you think that would have saved him from going to jail? Or do you think they would have found something else?
He was already in jail.
Well, yeah, but like really like a confession, like because I'm sure I'm sure if he didn't say that, they could have kind of shimmied his way out of this maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have necessarily saved him, but I think that it would have been easier maybe if we were at this point to get a retrial or something of that nature. That's a good point. That's a really good point.
I don't know. Just in case, after he tried killing himself, they just left him alone, didn't talk to him at all, didn't try to get anything out of him when he's at such a low mental state in his life.
I can't even I know when I get stressed out or I get super emotional or I'm going through it, going through something, I say things that I don't mean.
We all do.
All the time. And so it's just, I'm not under a microscope, thank God. But that's a really good point that you made.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could have changed everything. Who knows?
Right.
But I don't know, dude. This is stressful.
And then we move on. We move on to Kurt. Crazy Kurt. And he, again, didn't think highly of the boys. I don't know anyone really that does think highly of 13-year-old boys. I think they're pretty much gross and, they're 13-year-old boys.
Nothing against you 13-year-olds watching. So sorry.
No, but you guys they're whatever 13-year-old boys. They're crude.
Yeah. They're at that weird stage in life where
they're transitioning. They call each other dude. They don't take life seriously. And to just say you have a low opinion of the boys, and then he goes to say Ed may be involved. So that's two people. Sorry guys, I need to take a breath. Two people that are leading the investigation are saying that they think Ed's involved. Now, can you tell me, Maddie, why maybe it didn't go any farther than that, and why we're just hearing about this now?
This is pissing me off. I'm sorry. This is I can't even.
I want to flip tables right now.
I can't even fathom this right now. To be honest,
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do you think the protocol should have been? Honestly, we want to hear your thoughts.
Where were they saying this? Years ago when they were throwing someone else away in jail. And then he even mentions, we think that he could have been hired to do it. Wait,
that was Melissa.
Sorry guys.
Jump ahead. We will get there with Melissa. But basically bottom line is Kurt is crazy and a fool, and I think him and Ronnie need to go, you know where.
Yeah.
H-E double hockey stick on that one. Anyway.
No, seriously. I mean, they even, in the back of their minds, they know that this was not all Michael. So that already pisses me off because they know that justice has not been served.
First time, which is so crazy. Again, my mind's kind of getting blown a lot in this. That's the first time I've ever kind of been oh my God, maybe it was a co-conspirator, co-conspiratory, I don't know, they're co-conspirators. I think Ed maybe placed that in Michael's head, or maybe Ed was you know what, Michael, your mom's crazy, she did this, she's taking all my money, she's lying, she cheated on me, you have no idea what he told his son. And then it's okay, but your son's now, and then it's now kind of things are making sense to me, the stuff that Michael said to his dad about how he'll pay, and okay, maybe it was.
Maybe it was. I almost feel the detectives saying these type of things are confessions themselves.
Right.
Because
they know
this is
something.
Information that they know, that they feel, and they're not saying it. So let's move on to Melissa.
Melissa Mercer. I liked her a lot, and I liked
she was the neighbor.
Yeah, she was Crystal's who's Michael's sister. She was her best friend growing up, and
so pretty close to the family. Knows them really well.
And Crystal came back on the show for that. And she undoubtedly thinks Michael's innocent. She said, or she wouldn't have even come. So that's, you have all these people popping up saying without a doubt. I haven't heard anyone say without a doubt he did it. I've not heard one person, even the sheriff and Kurt Davis never said without a doubt Michael did it. So that says a lot.
There's not enough. They feel like once they have enough evidence to say that he's guilty, they can throw him in jail, which obviously they did.
Can, right.
But there's no evidence saying that he actually, I mean, there really isn't. When you look at it, there's really no evidence saying he did it. No DNA, no eyewitnesses, no nothing. So that's what's so frustrating. And then Melissa even brings up that this guy came to her mother's door.
What's with all these men going to doors? Because I thought at first it was going to be the brother of Ed. Because remember they said Ed's brother went to the other lady's.
I thought so too.
I forget whose door. One of the neighbors' doors that saw him.
Yeah.
And he shows up and he's asking if she's Rita. Okay, first of all,
repetitively asking if she's Rita.
If you're gonna hire someone to kill your ex-wife, they should probably know where she lives. And they probably shouldn't be wandering around in neighbors' yards asking where she lives.
Asking her neighbors.
Like, that's
if they
one
are her.
like hillbilly hitman, if I do say so myself. Like, I don't know what that is, to be honest. Like,
this is a really like kind of hick down. Do phones not exist? I mean, obviously this was way back when. So
no, it wasn't way back. It was in the 90s. Like, let's.
Well, I mean, way back. I was born in the 90s. Come on.
But so he shows up and he asks if she's Rita, and
yes, about 10 times she said,
and she goes no. But then he tells her where she lives. Like, if someone came up to my door and was like, "Where is so and so?" and that's one of my best friends, and that's one of, the mothers of one of my child's best friends. Do you think I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm scared as shit, but I'm gonna tell you where she lives? No, I'm gonna be like, I don't know who you're talking about. I'm so sorry, that's not me. Like, yeah, she pointed her in the direction. He goes the opposite way.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I also think, I
guess in the moment too, she could be like, no, it's not me. Like, she lives over there,
exactly,
kind of a thing.
Like in the moment, I would probably be panicking a little bit, trying to get this guy off my property.
Right.
No, she might have not thought anything about it at the time, maybe a little bit, but maybe not too much to the extent that she would get burned to the ground the next day or soon.
Well, yeah, and that was I think they said a few days before that happened, and she told everybody about it.
Yeah.
And she thinks that.
But did she tell the police? Did she tell the people that actually matter, that make the shots here? Like, why? Okay, we've said this, I think, every single episode. Why are people not talking? Why are they not sticking up? Why are they not...
Right.
I mean, they are in a way, but not to the extent that they should, maybe. Because everyone's so... I don't know if that's selfishness because they don't want to get caught or whatever, but if everyone's...
Well, I think she said it after everything happened. I think she did talk about it. Because they said that she told everyone. But, like, why didn't she say something after, like, when he left her house? Like, call the cops. But then also I'm thinking at the same token, like, there's a lot of creepy people in LA, and I've had a few like creepy experiences where I'm like, what? Like, I'm really uncomfortable, and I don't call the police being like, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm just like, okay, move on with life. So I do understand maybe that's kind of what she was. You don't think everyone's like a murderer. That's not your first thought.
There probably has been a few times where I should have called the cops and didn't. So, I mean, we can't always depend on that at the same time. But this guy, he asked her 10 times if she's Rita. And she's just like, no, I'm not. She lives down there. He goes the opposite direction. So now he knows where Rita lives.
Right. She
now
thinks
he knows
he's a hitman. She thinks it's her fault.
And next thing you know, Rita's dead.
That's really sad. I can't imagine living with that. Like, really thinking it's your fault. Like...
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know if she necessarily thinks it was her fault, but I mean, that's definitely a burden to carry on your back for the rest of your life if you technically could have almost stopped this. I don't think they ever identified the man, did they? They didn't. No. So we don't know.
We have no clue.
Now, who do you think it is? I think it was Ed's brother.
I think they would know if it's Ed's brother. Don't you think they would recognize?
I don't know. I mean, probably it's a small town.
But maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll come out with that in the next episode. But I honestly, I don't think that they're going to know. I think that that's like just maybe it was a hitman. I have no clue. And then he got found out or something and then they cancel it. Like, I don't know. One of those things like, oh, you went to the wrong house. Like, this shit's not going to work out. Go. Like, we'll handle it. And then he handles it.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, this is, it seems like this is a pretty small town. I don't know. But.
And then.
This is what I'm thinking.
They leave us. They leave us hanging with
they do leave us hanging.
Byron. And.
Guys, we didn't figure out Byron this time. So sorry. Not our fault. I don't know what MTV's doing. I know what, actually, I'm going to trust you, MTV, because I love you so, so, so much. MTV, you have my word for life. But we just brought up Byron in the last episode.
And Byron's like better have basically most of the next episode because he's been left out of a lot of episodes, and I feel like he's not getting enough screen time. And they leave us with thinking about Justin, who was unaccounted for a lot of the like most of the night that he was killed and that his girlfriend was killed. Yeah. So they're going to leave us thinking about that for next week. Yes, so why don't we finish with our predictions for next week.
Ooh, we got lights tonight.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
What do you think over there, lady?
Oh my goodness. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So there's so many of us. There's only like, so okay, my thoughts on this.
All right, let's start with Calvin.
I think Calvin, I really do deep down believe that he is innocent. I'm scared there's not going to be justice for him. I really, and I don't even know if we're going to actually find out. That's what because I was looking on Twitter and I'm like, don't you think we would know in like real life?
Yeah,
because this is real life, like what's happened, because these Twitters are still going. So I don't know if we're ever going to even find out the end result on this show. But I think Calvin didn't do it. I don't know if he's going to get justice though. Michael, and now I'm thinking that Michael is maybe a suspect, but because he was pushed into it by his father. Like I think that and someone at that age, like they should not get the sentence that he got, especially if he was talked into it. So that's kind of where I'm leading now with my thought process, which is so sad because I never thought that this whole time. And then Byron, I'm not even gonna go there because we haven't even touched on it.
We don't know enough.
Share with me, girl.
All right, Calvin. You're right. I want to have justice for this kid so bad. I mean, especially nowadays, because that racial part is so prominent. It's so prominent now. I feel like this could be a movement almost, because letting this guy go just to show that that should not be occurring in today's society anymore. I don't think he's guilty at all. Personal preference, just from what I've physically seen and everything. But so, but I don't know. I think you're almost right. I don't know if he'll get justice, but I am scared for him because I feel like he deserves it. Michael, you know you're my man, Michael. I 100% don't think you are guilty of this case at all. I just keep picturing him crying, man. It breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. Aw, thank you. I know it's breaking my heart.
No, it is.
To see him cry and stuff, and like, you can see the emotion in this kid's face, and he keeps even saying, "I'm not changing my statement. I didn't kill my mom."
You know what? You're right. You're right.
He even said, I don't care if I would have been out of jail by now if I had admitted to it.
You know what? You're right. So I'm gonna take my prediction back. But anyway.
So, but he's taking the extra years because he loves his mom and he wants justice. So, Michael, you got me, man. I 100% am on your side with this. I don't know if he'll have the justice he deserves just because of how honestly, all these detectives are killing me right now. All of them. All of these cases need to be re-looked at. I can't wait to see Byron.
I'm really excited for that.
Oh, and I really hope that we actually figure out at least one of the cases next episode.
Yes.
If they save all of these for the very last episode,
I'm gonna have a heart attack from it, with anxiety.
I mean, like I get where they would be going with this, but I'm so excited. I'm not excited. This is very sad.
I understand though.
But I really want to figure it out. And with Byron, we're gonna figure this out, Byron. All of us together.
All of you
guys have Team Abby and Maddie next year, and Nadine.
Yes.
So who is not present with us right now.
We miss you, Nadine.
Yes. Also, one more thing, guys. Go and follow all the free Michael Poli and free Calvin Michael Smith
Twitters.
Yes.
And you can find information from that. And actually, make sure you follow AfterBuzz.
Yes.
And that's it, I guess, for this evening.
Guys. Let us know what you guys think too.
Yes. We would like to hear that. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you guys next week. Again, I'm Abigail Fraher, and you can follow me on all social media at Abigail Fraher. And my lovely co-host here.
You're just so cute. Thank you guys so much for watching our show tonight. Let us know what you think. I'm Maddie Makely, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat at Maddie_Makely.
Thank you guys. That wraps it up. Have a great evening.
Yes.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.